Feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. The city of Clinton is advancing its long-term comprehensive plan to stimulate economic growth by pursuing the annexation of unincorporated land on the city's west end. Because a TIF boundary can legally only encompass land within the city's jurisdiction, municipal officials are working to bring several unincorporated parcels of county farm ground into city limits to set up the economic development zones. Clinton City Administrator Tony Harris explains the annexation is the crucial first step required to establish a tax increment financing, or TIF, district out toward Kleeman Drive.
Okay, I think I mentioned that maybe at the last time I was in, but again, this is all part of the overall comprehensive plan that was developed several years ago. The goal was to annex land and see the city boundary grow mainly on that west end on Kleeman Drive, goes across State Highway 51 and turns into Kleeman Road. The goal is to grow that area out there for residential and commercial growth. That's the plan. So, the first step to that is to annex land into the city there, so we have better control over it.
According to Harris, currently the city boundary on the west side strictly crosses State Highway 51, encompassing just one immediate parcel before hitting unincorporated county land. The proposed annexation will bring in fields located on the north side of Kleeman Road, joining a few parcels the city already controls further to the south.
The idea is to move the TIF fund out there, and we can't. The TIF fund, the TIF area, the TIF boundary. The TIF boundary can only be in the city's jurisdiction. So, some of that land out there that is still unincorporated in the county area, it's got to be annexed in. So we're working very hard to get some of those farm grounds into the city, just so we can see growth in the future.
Right now, how far out is the city boundary currently?
Right now, it just goes directly across the highway, State Highway 51. I think there's one parcel there, and then the next parcel, that's the land that we're going to annex. That was in the county. On the north side of Kleeman Road. On the south side, we have three parcels that goes out quite a ways. But again, the goal is to get a good portion of that into the city so we can work on development out that way.
The ultimate vision for the annexed territory involves a diverse, balanced mix of commercial retail spaces and residential housing. Harris notes while the project will take years to fully realize, securing the land and forming the TIF district provides the necessary financial mechanisms to fuel that growth.
And if you remember, the city got a grant to run sewer and water out that area. So sewer and water is already stubbed across State Highway 51. Tim Followell, previous city administrator and the council at that time, worked hard to get a grant to make that work and get water and sewer out that way. So basically what we're doing now is just capitalizing on that work that's already been done. That's with the sewer and water being stubbed across the highway to promote the growth over there. So that's basically what we're working on. No definite plans right now. The council's got some ideas on what they want to see out that way, and we're working a few leads, but nothing's definite right now. But
while some residents scoff at the city's pursuit of growth, Harris stresses proactive economic expansion is necessary to sustain Clinton's long-term municipal services and infrastructure.
Well, we basically want to see a good mix of retail businesses and residential homes. So what's that going to look like? We're not sure, but we'd like to see some retail businesses and some homes around those retail businesses. That's the goal of the city. Is that really going to happen? We hope so, but we're talking years out. The first steps. The first step was to get water and sewer out that way, which we did. The next step is just to annex the land, which is currently what we're working on, and then get a TIF district out that way to help with the growth, and then to promote some growth out that way.
City leadership considers the West End property an ideal location for development, and the city has already engaged in preliminary discussions with an outside developer who has shown strong interest in the project.
You know what? The city needs growth, period. I do believe, if we don't promote economic growth, we're never going to expand. And, and that's been brought up too, we're fine where we're at. Well, I think we're fine. Yes. But, we have to grow our boundaries, and we have to grow economic development just to keep where we're at. And we talked about the parks and things like that. If we don't see economic growth, some of these things that we're talking about, it just doesn't happen. So
sure.
So that's the whole goal. Perfect place to grow. The city's got some land out that way too, that we've had a very we had a conversation with a developer in the very early stages of this as well, with some interest from them that this city property that we own, they might be interested in developing that. Now this is a developer that they would have contact with other developers and retail businesses to kind of promote that with the city to see that growth happen.
The west side of Highway 51 has long been a targeted location for expansion for the city of Clinton. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Spring into savings this May with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Savings with a new car? Yes, with our fuel savings model like the Chevy Trax with 40 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Trailblazer, and Chevrolet Equinox with 33 miles per gallon highway. And don't forget about our EV options, the Chevrolet Bolt and Equinox. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 17 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a Piatt County behavioral health leader is emphasizing the critical need for structured youth support systems and alternative care models across the region. According to Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, data stemming from the biennial Illinois Youth Survey provides local school districts with crucial insights into adolescent anxiety, depression, and safety. He is closely tracking metrics regarding whether local students feel they have access to a trusted adult outside of their parents for advice and counsel.
I think one of the things that you and I have talked about for a while is that every other year we have schools completing something known as the Illinois Youth Survey that is a self-report for 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. So those results are just now starting to come out in local districts. So I'm hoping that I have access to not only the local districts, but I will have access to the county numbers by the end of the summer. So what I'm watching is not only the questions that relate to anxiety, depression, and suicide, but I'm also looking at, there's an interesting question that's on that survey of, do I have an adult that I feel comfortable speaking to other than my parent? And so trying to make sure that we see that our young people have access to support from adults, trusted adults that can give wise counsel.
To meet those emerging needs, local school districts have increasingly embedded dedicated therapists directly within their buildings to provide immediate behavioral health interventions. Looking ahead to the 2027 academic year, Kirkman indicates that state mandates will require school districts to provide formal mental health assessments for grades 3 through 12 to identify youth in crisis proactively.
I'm obviously very interested in behavioral health intervention within the school districts. You're starting to see that become more of a common practice of having a therapist in the schools. And then obviously watching what's going to be required in 2027, where school districts are going to be tasked with providing a mental health assessment for grades 3 to 12, just to make sure that emerging mental health needs are being identified. So from the youth district, that's kind of what I'm watching.
Kirkman is highlighting a major shift in how the adult population navigates addiction and wellness. Statistically, roughly 50% of individuals diagnosed with a substance use disorder also carry a co-occurring mental health diagnosis.
From more of the adult population, I think we're finally starting to see that individuals that are diagnosed with a substance use disorder have 50% of them have what's known as a co-occurring mental health diagnosis. And so I'm super proud of the work that I'm seeing being done of, instead of treating substance use disorder like a moral failure or a personality flaw, that we're tackling that through a medical model. So the same way that we would look at high blood pressure, diabetes, or any other genetic disorder, we're trying to figure out how we can address that through both behavioral and a medical care model.
For parents navigating the complexities of raising teenagers, Kirkman feels that introducing a secondary trusted adult who shares the family's core values, ethics, or faith can be an invaluable asset for a child.
Well, as a parent of 2 teenagers, I've been reminded that I'm sometimes the most ignorant man on the planet on topics that I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm out of touch. I'm uncool, whatever you want to put on there. And so what I think that parents, one of the best things that they can do for their kids, other than obviously creating a loving, embracing, acclimating environment, is to actually find another adult that aligns with them on their cultural custom, faith, morals, ethics, all of that, and link them to their children. Because Seth, like, you could say something to your kids and it's unreasonable, but somebody can give the same exact counsel and it's the most wisest thing that they've seen. Mm-hmm. So I think that one is if they discount their parents' advice, but they have a trusted adult they can go to, that's helpful. But secondly, some of our youth that are struggling with depression or anxiety do not want to disappoint their parents. So they try to put on a fake smile or a fake face or whatever, because, for whatever reason, mental health continues to bring about feelings of shame. If they could go to a trusted person and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this, and feel that, it's a no judgment area, I think that's very, very beneficial to our kids. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully that's found within the educational system, within the school district, that there's trusted teachers that youth can go to. But I think that's one of the very best things that a family could do is find another trusted adult that their child could safely attain counsel.
For more information on resources, counseling services, or information on behavioral health programs, contact the Piatt County Mental Health Center at 217-762-5371. Visit piattmhc.org or find them on Facebook. A great week of weather is ahead to close out May in central Illinois. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln told the Hart Media Group active storm systems are being detoured well around central Illinois, pushing precipitation out into the plains and over into the Ohio Valley.
Oh, yeah, this is looking really good. I mean, a brief little pop-up shower tonight into early tomorrow morning, but other than that, boy, it's a banner. The next 8 days, literally, we're normally in the upper 70s as we close out May and normally in the upper 50s for lows. We're going to see almost exactly that the next 8 days. Carbon copy, it's going to be almost a little bit of a boring forecast, so to speak, but just banner. I mean, it's warm enough to swim. It's warm enough to, to enjoy some of this, lakeside activities if you've got that. And, and no rain. So,
yeah,
you really can enjoy almost full days each of the next week or so. Yeah, 83 today. A few more clouds than sun. There's just a little bit of moisture hanging around for a bit, and that moisture is going to tend to tip the balance up to about a 20% chance this evening and overnight of a few showers, and that's going to linger into Wednesday morning. 20% chance. What that means is, a pop-up shower. If you feel a few sprinkles for half hour or something like that, that's probably all you're going to see. But my guess is most of DeWitt County is going to be dry, probably even through the tonight, tomorrow, a 20% chance, because that's really only 20% coverage of any one particular county. And, it's just not enough to really do much other than maybe wet the ground. And then lows tonight about 61. We're back up to 83 tomorrow. Sun's going to start to peak out. It's mostly a morning, 20% chance. So afternoon, sunshine popping out. And just a banner afternoon, really. Clear skies. I don't see a whole lot of cloud coverage. Wednesday night, Thursday, even through Friday, mostly sunny. Saturday, mostly sunny. Sunny. Yeah, each day during the day we have sunny down. We're mostly sunny the rest of the week. And highs are right around 80, low 80s, and then lows in the upper 50s to around 60. So each day really is just looking good. As far as winds go, it looks like the gustiest day is probably going to end up being Thursday. Gusts up into the right around 20 miles an hour, but other than that, not too windy. Just really nice for a late May timeframe, because we've had very, very hot ends of May and we've had some cool, ends of May, but this is going to be just right in the middle.
According to Shimon, a minor pocket of lingering moisture will bring a slight 20% chance of an isolated pop-up shower late Tuesday evening and into early Wednesday morning. Most residents, though, might see a brief 30-minute sprinkle capable of wetting the ground before clouds clear out completely by Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, what's setting up in the upper levels of the atmosphere is what we call an omega block. If you look at the Greek symbol omega, there's a loop on one end, a bubble in the middle, and then a trough on the other. So basically that shows the low pressure, high pressure, low pressure across the United States. And when the jet stream does that and we're under the middle of the omega block, we have no storms rolling through that. So we're going to be the rest of this week really under that middle high pressure of that blocking pattern. And it just keeps all the rain and everything, it's going to be out in the plains and then maybe in the Ohio Valley that they may see a little bit over and around us, but we're going to kind of be protected, so to speak, and out of the storm track for, the rest of the week for the most part. That's why we only have like maybe a pop-up shower here or there if a little bit of energy gets in there. Mm-hmm. But really, for the most part, the storm tracks are going to be bumped around Illinois.
We'll hear from Shimon later this week on the outlook for June as we get set to turn the calendar next week when students in Clinton begin summer break. In the never-ending attempt to scam consumers out of their money, criminals are now ramping up their use of the e-signature scam. While the use of e-signatures is a legit way of doing business, scammers try to make you think you need to quickly sign some documents for various reasons. And the urgency they tried to create, as BBB investigator Don O'Brien says, is a big red flag.
They're going to say that, oh, can you sign this? You've made a. We had a couple reports from Missouri communities in Missouri lately that have reported our BBB scam tracker. That, oh, I received this thing saying that I just spent $500 on something. I need to sign off on the transaction, when in fact you didn't make any purchase.
How can you tell if an e-signature email is a scam? Watch out for urgent language. Be wary of unexpected emails. Verify the sender and contact information. Look for grammatical errors or odd phrasing, and review everything carefully before signing it. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. All free, all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way now.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Republican primary voters in Texas have voted for Ken Paxton, the candidate endorsed by President Trump, beating longtime U.S. Senator John Cornyn in the GOP primary runoff in Texas. The U.S. military remains vigilant in the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean. The war on drug runners blowing up another suspected drug running boat in the Eastern Pacific. All evacuation orders lifted for the final 16,000 residents who live near a damaged chemical tank in the Orange County community of Garden Grove in Southern California. One person is dead, several injured, 9 others missing after a chemical tank imploded at a paper mill on the Columbia River in Longview, Washington. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are higher. The Dow futures up 165 points. This is SRN News.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-573-4400. That's 800-573-4400. Again, that's 800-573-4400.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In high school softball sectional semifinal scores from yesterday, in Class 1A, the top-seeded Meridian beat the second-seeded Hayworth 6-5, while top-seeded Leroy took down third-seed Salt Fork 4-3. In Class 2A, the top-seeded Riverdale beat second-seed Eureka 10-5, while the sixth-seeded Bloomington Central Catholic upset top-seeded Marshall 4-3, and the one-seed Rochester took down two-seeded Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin 3-2. In Class 3A, top-seeded Chatham Glenwood shut out third-seed Marion 10-0, while the one-seed Washington beat second-seeded Mount Zion 11-3. In high school softball sectional semifinal matchups for today, in Class 2A, the fourth-seeded Peoria Notre Dame is hosted by the second-seed Brimfield at 4:30, while the one-seeded Tolono Unity takes on second-seed Robinson at Monticello at 5 p.m. 1 seed Beecher travels to 3rd seed Pontiac at 4:30 p.m., while the top-seeded Williamsville will play host to 3rd-seeded Tri-City at 4:30 p.m. And in Class 3A, top-seeded Champaign Central takes on 2nd seed Normal U High at Lincoln at 4 p.m. In high school baseball, regional semifinal matchups for today. In Class 1A, 1-seeded Tremont travels to 8th-seeded Delavan at 4:30, while the 2nd-seeded Argenta Oriena takes on 7th-seed Athens at Leroy at 4:30. 1-seed Mount Pulaski is hosting the 8th-seeded Ridgeview at 4:30, while the top-seeded Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond will take on 8th-seeded Central A&M at Neoga at 4:30 p.m. And 2nd-seed Tuscola hosts 7th-seed Meridian at 4 p.m. In Class 2A, the 1-seeded St. Joseph Ogden takes on 8th-seeded Marshall at Bismarck Henning at 3 p.m., while the top-seeded Maroa Forsyth takes on 8th-seeded Olympia at Clinton at 4:30 p.m. 1-seeded Ottawa Marquette will take on the 9-seed Pontiac at McNamara at 4:30 p.m., while 2-seed Tolono Unity takes on 7-seed Champaign St. Thomas More at Monticello at 4:30. Also at 4:30, the 2-seeded Tri-Valley takes on 7th-seed Bloomington Central Catholic at Pana, while the top-seeded Pleasant Plains hosts 8th-seeded Auburn at 4:30 p.m., and then also at Pleasant Plains, the 4th-seeded Rochester takes on 5th-seeded New Berlin at 7 p.m. In Class 3A, top-seeded Chatham Glenwood hosts 8th-seed Springfield Lanphier at 4:30 p.m. Then following that game at 7 is the 3rd-seeded Mahomet Seymour versus 5-seed Mount Zion. 2nd-seeded Champaign Central hosts 7th-seed Danville at 4 p.m. Then 3rd-seeded Normal West will take on 6th-seed Champaign Centennial at 6:30 at Champaign Central. 1-seeded Dunlap will host 8th-seed Peoria Notre Dame at 4:30 p.m. Then Washington will take on the 6th-seed Limestone at Galesburg at 7 p.m. 1-seeded Triad takes on 7th-seeded Taylorville way down in Jerseyville at 4 p.m. today. Then the 2nd-seed Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin will play the 7th-seed Springfield Southeast at Lincoln at 4 p.m. 1-seeded Normal U High takes on 8th-seeded Urbana at Illinois State's Duffy Bass Field at 4:30 p.m. Then at Duffy Bass Field once again at 7 p.m., the 4th-seeded Rantoul takes on the 5th-seeded Bloomington High School. And in Class 4A, Normal Community will take on Plainfield South at Moline at 4:30 p.m. Brooks Lee hit a bases-loaded double in the 11th inning, and the Minnesota Twins beat the Chicago White Sox 5-3 on Tuesday night.
The White Sox and Twins played a thriller at right field on Tuesday night. Things really picked up in the bottom of the 8th after watching his countryman Riku Nishida deliver a leadoff single. Munetaka Murakami connected for a game-tying 2-run shot.
Swinging a drive, right field, out of here, we're tied. 2-2, number 19.
But the Sox couldn't push across a go-ahead run in the 10th when a wild double play by Josh Bell bailed the Twins out. Minnesota ultimately evened the series up with a 5-3 win in 11. Game 3 of 4 coming your way Wednesday night at 6:40. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The White Sox and the Twins are back at it tonight on WHOW. Pregame is at 6 p.m. Esmeralyn Valdez hit a 2-run home run to cap a 5-run first inning on Tuesday night, and the Pittsburgh Pirates routed the skidding Chicago Cubs 12-1 to extend Chicago's losing streak to 10 games. The rookie became the 7th player in Pirates history to hit 2 home runs within the first 4 games of his major league career, and the first since Austin Meadows in 2018. The Cubs are just the 2nd team in Major League history to have 2 10-game winning streaks and one 10-game losing streak in the same season, joining the 2017 Los Angeles Dodgers, according to Elias Sports Bureau. It's also the Cubs' longest losing streak since 2022. Braxton Ashcraft, who is 4-3, allowed 1 run on 7 hits in 6 1/3 innings, while striking out 5 and walking 1. He is 3-0 with a 1.82 ERA in 5 starts through May. Valdez's homer gave the Pirates a 5-0 lead after Brian Reynolds hit a 2-run double earlier in the first off Jordan Wicks, who was 0-1, who was recalled from AAA Iowa on Sunday to bolster an injury-depleted rotation. Wicks was rocked for 8 runs with 4 1/3 innings. Spencer Horwitz also homered for the Pirates, who won their 3rd consecutive game. O'Neal Cruz had 3 hits, and Brandon Lowe, Reynolds, Nick Gonzalez, and Horwitz each added 2. Valdez drove in 3 runs. Connor Griffin, a 20-year-old rookie shortstop, became the youngest leadoff hitter for the Pirates since 1952. He was 1 for 4 with a walk and 2 runs scored. The Cubs' Alex Bregman and Carson Kelly had 2 hits each. Chicago went 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position and stranded 9. Cubs right-hander Jamison Taylor faces rookie right-hander Bubba Chandler on Wednesday night in the 3rd game of the 4-game series. Garrett Mitchell hit a 3-run homer, and Kyle Harrison tossed 6 innings of 4-hit ball to lead the Milwaukee Brewers to a 6-0 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals on Tuesday night. Harrison is 6-1 and allowed 2 singles to open the 3rd and 2 singles in the 6th, but did not allow a runner past second. He struck out 2 and walked none, lowering his ERA from 1.77 to 1.57. Harrison improved to 4-0 in 5 starts in May, allowing 3 runs through 28 innings. Grant Anderson, Abner Uribe, and Trevor McGill followed with a scoreless inning apiece. Milwaukee has won 14 of its last 18 games and moved 3.5 games ahead of second-place St. Louis in the NL Central. Mitchell's blast capped a 5-run 5th that put Milwaukee up 6-0. The Brewers loaded the bases with no outs when Christian Yelich led off with a double, followed by walks to Jackson Chourio and Bryce Terang. William Contreras then extended his hitting streak to 10 games with a 2-run double that one-hopped the wall in center to put Milwaukee up 3-0. Chasing starter Michael McGreevy. Ryan Fernandez recalled Tuesday from AAA Memphis, relieved and struck out Jake Bowers, but Mitchell then lined a 2-0 pitch 421 feet to center. McGreevy is 3-4 and allowed 5 runs and 7 hits in 4+ innings, striking out 6 and walking 3. Bowers opened the 4th with his team-best 8th homer to put Milwaukee in front 1-0. Milwaukee entered with 35 homers as a team, the fewest in the majors. Dustin May, who is 3-0 with a 5.0 ERA, starts for the Cardinals on Wednesday, while the Brewers have not named a starter. In MLB scores from yesterday, the Washington Nationals beat the Cleveland Guardians 6-3, while the Baltimore Orioles took down the Tampa Bay Rays 6-1. The Los Angeles Angels beat the Detroit Tigers 10-6, while the Atlanta Braves beat the Boston Red Sox 7-6. The Toronto Blue Jays routed the Miami Marlins 8-1, while the Cincinnati Reds took down the New York Mets 7-2. The New York Yankees romped the KC Royals 15-1, while the Texas Rangers beat the Houston Astros 10-7, and the Philadelphia Phillies beat the San Diego Padres 4-3. The Seattle Mariners beat the Athletics 4-1. The Arizona Diamondbacks beat the San Francisco Giants 7-5, and the LA Dodgers took down the Colorado Rockies 15-6. Green Bay Packers running back Josh Jacobs is facing 5 criminal charges, including strangulation and suffocation, after police responded to a disturbance complaint involving him over the weekend. Hobart and Lawrence police in Wisconsin Chief Michael Rinkas said that Jacobs was arrested Tuesday and booked into Brown County Jail on charges of strangulation and suffocation, battery, domestic abuse, criminal damage to property, domestic abuse, disorderly conduct, domestic abuse, and intimidation of a victim. Jacobs is the Packers' top returning rusher after running for 929 yards and 13 touchdowns last season. That followed a 2024 season in which he ran for 1,329 yards and 15 touchdowns while earning his third Pro Bowl selection. Jacobs spent his first 5 seasons with the Raiders. He earned an All-Pro honors and had an NFL-leading 1,653 yards rushing with Las Vegas in 2022. He has rushed for 7,803 yards and 74 touchdowns in his 7-year career.